welcome back to a Criminally Basic podcast. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Megan.
As we all know, I'm obsessed with TikTok. Nothing new here. That's actually how I found out about this case. This case is of Alexis Sharkey, which super tragic case. I just kind of want to put a disclaimer-ish out there. I say ish because this case is developing each day. And so there's going to be new information out. So by the time this releases, some of the information in this could already be outdated.
Right. And if that does happen, we'll do our best to try to keep everyone updated. But when are we recording this? We're recording this on Sunday, January 24th.
Yes.
So all information that we're going to be discussing is relevant as of January 24th, 2021.
Yep. Another thing. I originally wasn't going to cover this because I'm like, oh, this is very cut and dry. No, this put me in a rabbit hole.
Yeah, Hannah and I were talking before we started recording, and I was like, I've kind of heard things about this and I've been interested in it, and I was going to look it up before we started recording today, but I decided not to so that I could come into this as blind as I can.
Yes. Another disclaimer. I'm sorry if things get a little confusing. There's a lot of different sources and a lot of different information put out there because this case is currently still happening.
Right. That happens a lot with very high profile cases.
Yes.
Or ones that get a lot of social media attention specifically.
And this one did.
Absolutely. So we'll try to be clear when those moments come up. If something is speculative or, not 100% clear. But yeah, just a heads up.
Yes, because unfortunately there's a lot in this case and I hate it. So let's get into it. So Alexis Lee Robinault, I hope I pronounced that right, Sharkey was a 26-year-old. She's 3 years older than us. She's from a small town in Pennsylvania. She graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. She graduated summa cum laude.
Summa cum laude.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Me being a sorority, I should know how to say it, but I don't. It's fine.
I only know it because I really wanted to graduate summa cum laude, and I didn't make it. I had to graduate magna cum laude. Isn't my life so hard?
So hard, Megan. Ugh.
No, I'm just complaining for the sake of complaining. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine. Well, she graduated with a degree in biology and a minor in nutrition and psychology. She was a Monate seller, which unfortunately is an MLM. I'm going to keep my thoughts about MLMs to myself right now. She was actually an executive director. She was in the 1% that actually make six figures, not the ones that...
Oh.
Yeah, she was like the ones that make the money.
Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. Her mom was actually surprised when she joined an MLM. Because, those fundraisers you have in high school or elementary school that you sell chocolate bars or whatever. She wouldn't participate in them. She had her little sister do it for her.
So maybe she was management material from the beginning.
True. That is very true. But yeah, her mom was a little surprised when she got in it, but she's like, okay, whatever. So in 2019, she got married to 49-year-old Tom Sharkey. It was a 23-year age gap, which is a very large age gap. It's unclear really how they met and got married. But from a friend, her name is Brittany Northling Martin, alleged their paths crossed when Alexis was working in a bar and Tom was working in the oil field industry. And that is how they allegedly met, but that's about the only information I could find on it. Legit, I've been to the last pages of Google to find information for this case.
Wild.
Yeah. So they originally moved to Grand Junction, Colorado, but they were only there for about 4 months in 2019, then moving to Texas and settling in Houston this past January. So let's go into all... Okay, so let's now go to Thanksgiving, where all these events are about to take place. So Alexis actually spent Thanksgiving with her friends, one of those friends being Tanya, who we will later mention, as well as her alleged boyfriend, Sebastian.
Wait, Alexis's alleged boyfriend or the
Yes.
friends, but she's married?
I'll get into that.
Oh, drama.
Oh, there's so much. There's a build up to all this.
Wow. Okay, so wait. Can I make a prediction?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm predicting that the boyfriend was closer to her age than her husband was.
I mean, that one you would be
And
true on.
haha.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with like age gap couples as long as, everything is uh, kosher and consensual and all that jazz, you know?
Well, the kosher part, I'll tell you about later. It's not that
Oh
kosher.
no.
No.
But when you have someone in their mid 20s versus someone in their mid 40s, you're at very different points in your life.
Yes.
So for some people it works and for some people it doesn't. And it sounds like it wasn't really working for Alexis.
I'm gonna get there. But first, let me just show you a picture of Mr. Tom Sharkey. Him and her. Miss Alexis is a gorgeous woman, like absolutely stunning. But he's not one of those like cute muscly guys. He looks like one of those like old bodybuilders. They kind of all look the same. Beard, tall, very square shaped.
Yeah.
So she's absolutely stunning, and he's kind of
I mean, yes, you're right. I think she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. I don't think he's unattractive. I mean, for me, he's not exactly the type I would go
Yeah.
for. Kind of, yeah, very muscly, kind of stocky build, bald, round face, beard, mustache. I see here. Oh, well, these are fun Halloween costumes.
They are very fun Halloween costumes. He's not Pedro Pascal, who is almost 50 and I'm in love with.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think he's unattractive, but for his age, because he's what, mid 40s?
He's almost 50.
He's almost 50. All right, so for being almost 50,
He's not like bad looking for
right.
almost, but like he's not exactly Brad Pitt attractive either.
No, but I mean, love is more than skin deep.
Yeah, so let's get into all of this. Alexis and Tom did share a Thanksgiving meal that morning, but she went to spend the rest of the day with her friends and their families, which I seem is kind of odd because they've been barely married a year.
Yeah, so if this is their first Thanksgiving together as a married couple, and she's going to visit her friends alone, like without him?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Allegedly, he wasn't invited, whether that was the friends doing it or Alexis being like, no, don't do it. Though she was making plans to visit her family for Christmas and she hadn't seen them the Christmas before due to all the COVID restrictions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They were making plans. It seemed like a normal day for everyone until, but I'm just going to go through the timelines of events and then get into all the juicy stuff, because if we don't go through the timeline of events first, everyone's going to be confused.
Mm-hmm.
Because trust me, I was confused. So after Thanksgiving dinner with her friends and family, around 12 they went to go to a bar, and it was only Alexis and Sebastian at the bar. Keep in mind, alleged boyfriend, all alleged. Well, around 2:45, Alexis asked Tanya, hey, are you up? And Tanya didn't reply till about 7:30 a.m. the next morning, saying, sorry, I was asleep. Around 10, Alexis had allegedly left some stuff at Tanya's house. And Tanya texted her, being like, hey, I'll bring it back, and this is Friday morning. And Alexis was like, no, I'll come and get it, don't worry. So they keep texting back and forth. Alexis asked her, hey, what are your plans for today? Do you want to go out? And she's like, no, we're just staying at home. They all had a movie night planned for Saturday. Keep that in mind. So around Friday, from the alleged text messages, Alexis was last heard from around 6:28 p.m. That was the last proven outgoing message from Alexis. Well, what happens next, we're all very unclear about.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis did go missing, but the reasons why she walked out of her house are very unclear. Tom allegedly told detectives 3 different stories of what happened that night.
Okay, so wait, hold on. I'm going to rewind for a second.
Yes.
So she was out with this guy who may or may not have who they may or may not have had a romantic thing going. So she's out with this guy. She's texting her friend, or her friend is texting her.
Yep.
Does Alexis get home? Did you say that she got home?
She gets home around, oh, I'm so sorry. I just completely overread that. That's my bad. She got home around 3:15 to 3:45 in that area.
In the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So it was that Thursday night going into Friday morning.
Okay. And her friend last hears from her.
The last messages anyone has ever seen from her is around 6:28 p.m. that Friday night. And it was to Sebastian being like, it was some message being like, what are you doing, or when do you get off work? It was something very, not minuscule, but it was
just something innocuous like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm all caught up now.
Yes. So keep in mind, Alexis was always on her phone, like attached at the hip.
Mm-hmm.
They knew something was wrong when she didn't post anything for Black Friday or hadn't been online for a few hours into Saturday. What happened that Friday night, alleged by Tom, has been changed 3 different times.
Interesting, considering that she went missing from her home.
Yes, and he is, in fact, the last person to see her.
Right, because I'm assuming that he was there.
Yes. Well, he allegedly was out doing something, then came back.
Okay.
So, the 3 versions of what he said happened. And excuse me if I misinterpret some of them. It's just there is a lot of information with this case right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the first was she had allegedly came back drunk, like out of her mind, and said, oh yeah, she was going to drive, and they'd gotten a fight. Though he denied them ever getting in a fight.
Wait, so he said that they got in a fight, and then he's saying they did not get in a fight?
He first alleged they didn't get in a fight. Then he went back and said, oh yes, we did get in a fight.
Okay.
One of the tales was that they had got in an argument. She hopped over the fence in loungewear. So their patio fence, they lived in an apartment, and their patio had a fence. But it's very possible she could have jumped over it.
Yeah, I mean, is she like really drunk in this version?
Allegedly she is, and she hopped the patio fence to get into the car to go to a club. And you know as well as I do, no 26-year-old is going to go to a club in loungewear.
No.
They won't even let you in with loungewear.
The one time I have been to a club, yeah. It was Halloween, so like we were in costumes and stuff, but I can't imagine going to a club in like sweatpants.
There is a bar on the Levy Brothers. Have you ever heard of it? Well, we went there just as a Thirsty Thursday to get some appetizers and drinks, whatever. They wouldn't even let you in with leggings.
Wow.
Yeah, and like that's not even a club. That's just a sports bar.
Man, they've got standards. Yeah. Crazy.
So like and that's just in Little Newport. Like I can't imagine what Houston was like.
Right.
And then the third one is they had got into a fight and she had ran away barefoot.
So the common denominator with all of these is that she left on her own accord.
Yes.
Okay. But it's interesting though that they're all so different. I mean, they all end with her leaving. Whether or not they got into a fight, like that's important, but Why change the details of where she was going and what she was wearing, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It makes no sense to me. But let's continue on with this timeline before I get into the more juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, around 7 o'clock, Tom goes to go out looking for her. Around 7:30 p.m. that Friday night, he allegedly drives to a gas station after he loses signal, and then he's out at the gas station for about 2 hours. So he only searched for his wife 30 minutes and then goes to a gas station to allegedly get signal.
What? I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's the thing about this whole case. It's very confusing. And
Mm-hmm.
like I'm sorry to our listeners if you are getting confused, because researching this, I was confused.
I mean, like, okay, yeah, go out, search for your wife, try to figure out where she is. But if
30
you're,
minutes?
yeah, I mean, 30 minutes. And was he, I would have, maybe, I shouldn't assume anything. Was he like calling and texting people trying to figure out where she was, or was he just on his own?
On his own.
Okay.
He did not call someone. So around 9:30, Tom, after being at the gas station for 2 hours, Tom messages Alexis's friend Chelsea's boyfriend John to ask about Alexis. Did not message any of her other friends.
Okay.
Also, around 10:30 or 10:06, I'm sorry, Sebastian tells or text Alexis saying, "Oh, he's off work," which it goes unread. So around 11, Chelsea's boyfriend John messages Tom back, and they end up getting on a call at 11 for 45 minutes. And John had later gone to say the call was kind of weird.
How is it weird?
He just said it seemed kind of strange, like asking like where's Alexis and stuff, and he's like he had no clue. It gets stranger. After that, around 8 a.m., Chelsea's friends go looking for her,
Mm-hmm.
and that is 8 a.m. Saturday morning.
Okay.
So her friends actually went to her house or apartment, I should say, I'm sorry, around 12 p.m., kept knocking, and allegedly no one was home. Unfortunately, around 8:30, a city worker was driving by a West Dunstan area on Red Hoss Street, where he saw feet sticking out of the bushes that he thought to be a mannequin.
Oh, it's never a mannequin.
It's never a mannequin. So the worker calls his supervisor, who went to check it out.
Oh no.
And when the supervisor got there, it wasn't a mannequin's body. It was the dead, naked body of Alexis Sharkey.
Oh.
Keep in mind, this was about 7 to 8 miles.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was extremely close to her house. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so the only real clear thing about this timeline is something happened Friday night, and then the next morning at 8:30, she was found dead.
So I'm sure we're going to get to this, but have they determined a cause of death? Was that apparent from her body?
We're going to get to that. But
Okay.
also,
Mm-hmm.
but at first, though, her body looked like absolutely nothing was wrong with it. And there was a lot of theories going around that it was an OD, and I'm going to admit that some of the theories going around were very ludicrous, and I don't want to even mention them because there's no real substance to those theories.
Mm-hmm.
Though some good news about where her body was found. And I know that sounds weird being like good news. Where her body was placed, there was a store in that area.
Oh, security cameras.
The security camera was literally placed where they could see who would dump her body.
Okay, please tell me that these security cameras were working.
They were working.
Oh, yes!
But we don't know what were on them just due to the fact they haven't released much information.
Right.
But I'll get more into that later.
But the security cameras were working.
They were working.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I know. When they do their job, they're great. So, getting on to the claims of why Alexis allegedly had a boyfriend. She allegedly had a boyfriend because her and Tom were separated but living in the same house. Alexis, when she would come home, she would sleep on the couch, allegedly. She had also claimed to friends that she had been suffering through domestic violence and that Tom would choke her until she would black out and wake up on the bathroom floor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And she had disclosed it to multiple friends, and they all validated that. And though she didn't have any physical wounds from it, she said it would happen multiple times.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Though there was some speculation Tom was filing for divorce, there's a screenshot that I'll have to find you again, Megan, because I've only found it a couple places, so I don't know how true it was.
Mm-hmm.
But Alexis had gone on it was a girls' trip or an MLM trip, one of those. And it was Tom basically being like, you're selfish, you only care about yourself. And he signed it, your ex-husband.
Oh man. I mean, screenshots are really easy to fake.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's up in the air, but I mean, if that's true, I don't like this guy.
Oh, it gets worse. Tom was actually the one to go ID her. When they had brought her body into the mortuary, she had been put under Jane Doe because she was naked, had no clothes. They don't know where her clothes are. Or if they do, the police have not told where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So she had no form of identification on her. Tom saw in the news that they had brought a Jane Doe in. So he went down to the medical examiner's office and ID'd her on his own accord. No police, no nothing were asked. He just went down there. Which, yes, you can see as suspicious, but also if you're trying to be proactive.
Right. And I mean, if you're either trying to appear as a concerned husband or you are a concerned husband, if there's a body that has popped up, you want to know if that is your wife as soon as possible.
Yes. Well, like I mentioned, there was some theories of her ODing because there was no marks on her body. She, like they said, she looked like a mannequin.
Right. And I guess that makes sense, if there's no immediate cause of death apparent.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of theories running wild. And keep in mind, this only happened back in November, like this past November. Well, this week was a week of the inauguration, so January 20th, even though we're recording this on the 24th. The medical examiners released her cause of death. Do you want to guess what her cause of death was?
I'm going to guess it's not drugs.
It was strangulation.
I was going to say, was it strangulation or was it suffocation? Because they're
strangulation.
Different. Okay. Because I mean, you said that there were no marks on the body, and I would assume that there would be bruising around the neck, but.
Well, Megan, my dearest. First off, I'm sorry to my FBI agents and my computer. I know it looks suspicious. I know.
Oh my God! Did you search?
I may have searched how to strangle someone.
Hannah, you're on the list now.
I've been on the list, but okay, there is a way, and one of the YouTubers I watch said this too. If you allegedly don't strangle them with your hands like you would think, you do kind of like in the Chris Benoit case, do a chokehold maneuver.
Oh, I would think that would take longer, but there wouldn't be any bruising.
Yes, so in theory, yes, it would take longer, but you're not gonna no bruising or anything.
Right.
So if you use like your bicep or tricep, it's going to do the same thing, just not have the bruising from it.
Right. And I guess, I mean, relating this back to her allegations of domestic abuse and how she would black out, that would make sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Wow.
And so, okay, before they had this autopsy has been going on for months, or not months, but they started the autopsy early December, late November, and they just now got the results back.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Which, it's not super suspicious because they're probably trying to get evidence they can to arrest whoever did this horrible thing.
Right. And I'm sure I mean, true crime shows and podcasts and stuff make it seem like all this happens really, really quickly. But
Yeah.
in reality, the investigative process and the justice system as a whole moves rather slowly, much more
Very
slowly than we
slowly.
think it does.
Yeah, which this is why this case has surprised me since it's moved so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Alexis's mother, Stacy Robinault, I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, did an interview back in December before the autopsy results were back. And she said, and I quote, "I believe solely that she was murdered because of the manner in which her body was left." Robinault said, "It was driven deep into the soul that something very malicious happened here, and I just want to get to the bottom of it." End quote. And that's an interview she did with ABC 13, I believe.
I mean, yeah, it's straight up murder. You don't strangle yourself.
No.
You don't strangle yourself and dump yourself in a. Where was she found?
It was in a bush, basically. It was on a
Okay,
bush
yeah.
in the side of the road. It was, the way they described it, it was kind of secluded, but not, it's secluded, but not boonies secluded.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this is a question for you, Megan, and I have it too. They didn't call the police until like late Friday evening.
So wait, who didn't call the police? Her friends, her husband, just everybody
Both.
involved?
Everyone. Which I get
Okay.
they were trying to look for her on their own accord, but still.
Right. I mean, it's interesting
And
that they waited until the evening if
yeah,
people knew that she was missing. It sounds like pretty early in the morning they realized
yeah.
that she was missing. So,
And from the way I understood it, they didn't call the police until after they called Alexis's mom and was like, until they were like, "Hey, yeah, we can't find her."
mm-hmm.
And that's how it seems to me. I could have misinterpreted it because there's so much information out there.
Right. Um yeah, I mean, I kind of have a hard time believing that they wouldn't, call law enforcement until the evening. But I mean, then again, they could have, been calling around to all of her friends and all of her family and
Yeah,
checking all of those boxes
yeah.
before calling
Well,
the police because
I mean, they were
often for
doing that
missing,
though.
right. And I mean, often for missing persons cases, the first response is, okay, have you contacted friends and family? Have you contacted hospitals, local police stations, the morgue, like places like that? And so they could have been checking all of those boxes before so that when they did call, they could say, yes, we've done all of that. She's not here. Let's
Yeah,
move on to the next step.
yeah. Also, I want to give a shout out to 10 to Life on YouTube because her timeline very much helped me with everything that was going on. Because, dear God, this case is it's not a mess, but everyone else in it is a little messy. So, okay, but also I want to allege a very eerie fact that happened in this case. Her phone was allegedly active on Sunday morning. And keep in mind, she was already dead by this time.
Okay, so wait, what do you mean by active? Do you mean that it was on and pinging or that it was like being used?
Allegedly both.
Interesting.
Very. So let's get into our alleged suspects. First up is Mr. Tom Sharkey himself.
Yeah, it seems like a good place to start.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Tom has changed his story 3 different times to officers. 3 different times.
Right.
Second, people describe him as controlling and manipulative. Also, this is just something I find weird. He has kids that are like a year younger than Alexis and like our age.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
That's just something I find weird. Some people couldn't find it weird, but I do. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes back to the whole age gap couple
Yeah.
thing. I think each couple is different, and so it's kind of a case
True.
by case basis. But to me, it doesn't sound like this one was very healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tom Sharkey has a history of humiliating women. His own family testified in a court document, and this was for his ex-wife, being like the father's family member tested to his change mentally and emotionally conditions. his threat of suicide and his detrimental.
There you go.
To his threats of suicide and his detrimental actions to and with the children. End quote.
Well, we don't love that, do we?
No. He also, in court documents, has been alleged to have threatened his ex-wife and then involved her employer by sending the employer sensitive pictures of his ex-wife.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh, it's so terrible. And it was to punish her for not giving in to threats he made against her.
Dude.
Yeah.
Gross.
Oh no, he's disgusting.
That's horrible.
Oh no, he gets worse.
How?
Like, if the domestic violence wasn't enough, that's just the cherry on top. So, there have been multiple weird posts that he made after she had died. So I sent you one, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
But he has done like 2 to 3 of those posts, and all of them seem to be very self-centered. He also, when everyone is talking about how Alexis was described as a beautiful, bubbly, happy woman, like she radiates joy.
Mm-hmm.
But when he made a post about her, he's like, she wasn't as happy as everyone thought she was. I cuddled her to give her strength. I was there. Like, it was very much I.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm really seeing about this post that you sent me. Do you want me to read it out?
Yes, please.
So, I'm assuming, yes, this is Facebook. So on Tom Sharkey's Facebook page, this is a post. It looks like there's 5 pictures. 4 of them are of Alexis with Tom, and then 1 I think is just her by herself.
Yeah.
And it reads, quote, "Baby, please give me strength. Do you remember when we talked and joked about getting old, and I said, that's the one thing you would never beat me at. And we laughed so hard because you're so competitive," with a heart emoji, end quote.
Yes. And all of them were like that.
Yeah. So 2 things stand out to me really about this particular post. One is the improper grammar and punctuation and improper spellings of the word your.
I'm terrible at grammar and spelling, and I can even get that one right.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves. So, like, a point off from this post already.
Yeah.
But I think it's really eerie that he's joking about getting old.
Yeah.
And, and I said, that's the one thing you would never beat me at. I don't know, something about that. Part of it could be, construed as a, grieving husband who's looking back fondly on this memory and, really, really missing his wife. But considering all of the other information that we have, it does not sit right with me. And you're right, he is very much the subject of these posts.
Yeah, and that's how all of them are. And the thing is, he later went private on his Facebook and stuff because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, though, there's some more weird things that I'm going to get into. So, when all of this was going on, her mother was, Stacy, Alexis's mother, was doing interviews. ABC 13, which is in my sources, it's a local Houston news station. The interviewer said that I'm so sorry, I don't have its name, but it's in the exact sources. The interview said it was strange when he interviewed it. The interviewer said Tom seemed upset. He said he was trying to find everything with his wife. He told the police everything. And then he told the interviewer to never contact him again and abruptly hung up.
Okay. I can see this 2 ways. And I mean, Hannah, I am very much the devil's advocate, one of the 2 of us.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can see this one of 2 ways. I'm sure he's getting hounded by reporters.
Absolutely.
And so, just saying, yes, I've told the police everything. Don't contact me again.
Yeah.
I can understand where he would be coming from. considering how high profile this case is and
Mhm.
how clearly everybody thinks it's him.
Yes.
I can understand that.
Hmm.
But then on the other hand, kind of the way that you framed it was that they were having a very calm conversation, and then all of a sudden he was like, okay, don't talk to me again.
Yeah. And that's how the interviewer, the way I personally took it, that's basically what he said.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
I mean, I guess with that being in writing, we can't really hear the tone of Tom's
yeah,
voice when he was saying those
yeah,
things. So it's
yeah,
just it's an interesting little
yeah.
tidbit.
Um, and that's coming. There was a video about it, but it did not have Tom's voice. It just had the interviewer's voice.
Okay.
So it was odd to say the least.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. Um. So okay, next thing that's absolutely disgusting. Alexis's mother wanted to bring her back home to Pennsylvania to bury her. That's
Okay,
her
makes
home.
sense.
Whatever. She
Mhm.
had to fight with Tom to get her body.
So, fun fact about like American marriages.
Yeah.
Um, Once you are married and your husband becomes like your power of attorney, and I mean this is the same way with wives too. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this seem like a sexist thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make this seem like a families should probably have more power than they do kind of thing,
Yeah.
because your spouse has the right to your body.
Yeah.
So, like for another example is, if you are like on life support or
Mm-hmm.
something, and your family does not want you taking it off life support, but your spouse does, your spouse's word means more than your family does, and so then you can be taken off of life support due to your husband or wife's wishes, even if their family is really fighting to keep you alive.
Yes.
So,
And so, because he was next of kin, that's,
right.
yeah. But at even one point, Tom quit responding to her calls, basically just ghosted her
Uh-huh.
until, and like Stacy had even said at one point, she had given up hope that she was going to get her daughter's body.
But she did eventually get her daughter's
She did
body.
eventually get her daughter's body, but he
Good,
let
good.
his wife stay in a fridge for over 2 weeks.
And the autopsy wasn't still going on, right?
No.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah. Also, this is alleged, but I thought I might mention it because I guess it's speculation, but I thought it's very interesting
Mm-hmm.
that allegedly Tom is now living in his car now.
Oh no.
Yeah. Which, whether it be because the apartment is under investigation or what that may be,
Hmm.
allegedly he's living in his car. This is all alleged. We're not 100% sure on that, but it
Right.
was a rumor.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, a little disclaimer before what I'm about to get into on the theory that a random person could have done it. Because, yes, even though there's a lot of circumstantial evidence for Tom, there's still a possibility that some random person did it.
Of course.
So, let me put a little disclaimer. What I'm about to say is not to start controversy or a political debate or anything. This is just frankly a bit of context as to why they think it's a random person. Um, so on Alexis's Facebook, you can still pull it up to this day. Just type in Alexis Sharkey. And it's an in memoriam, but you can find it. So Alexis did have some controversial opinions. Some of them was that COVID wasn't as bad as it was. Also, that she wasn't very happy about Joe Biden being president.
Mm-hmm.
And then her love of Candace Owens, but then also agreeing with abortion. And yes, some of them didn't outright say these things, but you can kind of get context clues.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm not finding this more controversial than anybody else's Facebook, you know?
It, it's not what her posts are controversial, but it's the ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
They're not worse than anyone else's.
no, they're really not. And I don't think these are nearly as bad as other
Oh, I've
people's.
seen I've seen some that are
Right.
terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, you know, she wasn't a fan of Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Um, she I see was clearly a pretty big supporter of abortion. And then yeah, had some questions concerning COVID and some restrictions. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I
yeah,
guess I don't see this as super controversial, but I'm a very chill person when it comes to these
yeah,
sorts of things.
yeah,
So someone I guess who is very, you know,
yeah,
political and stuff could
yeah.
couldn't
This is really a matter of opinion, but I thought it needed to be brought up in some way.
right. And people have done worse things for less
Yeah,
for less reason.
yeah, and the reason why I bring this up is I did not even think of this as a possibility until I watched. I love watching YouTube videos of other commentary people just so I can get different perspectives on things.
Hmm.
And the video I watched about it, it's linked because this she thought maybe someone could have threatened death upon her because of some of these ideals. That
Right.
which some people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah,
They'll
I mean, again, people have killed for less.
yeah.
So,
So police for a little bit thought, oh, maybe someone got very heated in the comments and posted that.
hmm
But there's not really much evidence to support that.
hmm
Next, this is something I actually found crazy and I texted Megan about. Someone from another famous trial just had to stick their nose in their business. And that person is Scott Peterson's attorney. I forget, Mark something.
What's with all these like true crime cinematic universe crossovers?
I
Because
don't I don't like it. I like Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not True Crime Cinematic Universe.
I mean, we live in the true crime cinematic universe, so I think
True.
that's kind of worse. Um,
Yeah, but like the 70s, don't get me started on the 70s True Crime Cinematic
right.
Universe.
But I mean, because we just talked about uh
OJ Simpson and Casey Anthony. Not
yes, yeah.
actual OJ Simpson, but like OJ Simpson's private investigator.
Right. So the fact that there was the same private investigator on two very high profile cases, and now the fact that you said the attorney has gotten
The
involved?
yes, and it was some interview he did with Fox, and he's like, "Yeah, I think it's too early to tell if the husband did it or not," and
Hmm.
uh, that's about it. There's nothing really to it besides that, and I'm like, dude, why did you? Are you like trying to get another case allegedly?
Right. In a way that he is right, jumping to conclusions and then
Yeah,
being wrong can literally ruin someone's life. So
absolutely.
by all means, I don't think that active cases should be really big social media things, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have helped in some cases,
Yeah,
um, but he's right. But I don't know, the fact that it's Scott Peterson's attorney
yeah. If
kind
yeah,
of turned some heads.
yeah. Also, like that case didn't go well for him. I mean, yeah, he
No,
probably got a good chunk of change out of it.
right, but like,
It didn't go well for him.
no.
Yeah. So the next thing is purely speculation, but I thought I'd bring it up anyways. Is some people have concerns over the best friend Tanya.
Okay, why?
Well, first, this is jumping, but some people thought it was like a single white female thing because they did meet on Bumble BFF, but Tanya has this thing where she allegedly got a lot of work done to look exactly like Meghan Markle. She's a very pretty woman, don't get me wrong, but she does not look exactly like Meghan Markle.
Uh-huh.
And they thought, oh, she was trying to be like her, blah, blah, blah. That's alleged. That's just a rumor. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah,
And
I'm not believing this either.
yeah. But something was a little weird, though. I will admit it. On the Tend to Life, the creator of that, her name is Annie Leese. I'm sorry if I have trouble saying that. I have a friend named Annalise, and it just kind of, yeah. Her and her sister Amy were doing a live stream, and they watched the interview Tanya did. And it was very much, she's allegedly Alexis's best friend, but it's very much surface level things about Alexis, not to the core of her. And I can send you that, the video to that, but it's like, oh, Alexis loved being an influencer. She kept bringing up influencer a lot. But Alexis allegedly didn't like being called an influencer. She wanted to be known for her business skills.
Right. I mean, considering how successful she was, I would say that she had some pretty doggone good business skills.
Very good ones. Because
I was going to say, I could see that, maybe using the term influencer over and over again could be kind of a way to bring more media attention to the case. I could see that because a, pretty popular influencer suddenly ending up dead is going to attract some attention.
Yeah. And the interview, it is kind of weird, but only in the sense of, I just think Tanya wasn't as good of a friend with her as we thought. Not in like a bad way, just like you're just very new friends, you don't know much about each other type of way, you know?
Right.
But that's it. It's nothing. It's people reaching.
Yeah.
And there's also some theories that the friends and Tom did it together, which I don't believe.
No.
Yeah.
Considering where the body was dumped, I would assume that it was just one person.
Yeah. Before we get into our little wrap up, I personally believe that we're going to see an arrest any day now.
I mean, I would hope that they've sealed off the home, that they have all the information that they need from the autopsy. And I mean, I'm really banking on that security camera footage.
Oh yeah. So allegedly the Harrison County Detective Department has the autopsy back. They haven't released the full autopsy. They've just released she's been strangled. Okay. They said the toxicology report is due any day now, and they have the security cameras. So I think they're just waiting to get everything, form a good case, and then be like, okay. But I think this case is not the case. I'm sorry. The actual murder was very sloppily done. I think they're going to find who did this.
I mean, they have all the pieces you need.
Yeah, which is so rare.
You can't ask for more in a case like this.
You can't. So, Megan, I want to ask what your theories on this, even though we've kind of talked about it a little throughout this whole thing.
Right. So, considering everything that we know about true crime and kind of how these cases tend to go, my first thought is that it was the person who was closest to her.
Yeah.
Considering the timeline, considering the allegations of abuse and such, it's pointing towards her husband.
Yeah.
That being said,
I was just going to say, fun fact, allegedly, with like husband and wife murders, 2 out of 5 times it's the partner.
Like 2 out of 5 murders?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what it's looking like. I'm not going to plant my flag super heavily in any camp just because there is always the possibility that it was some not freak accident, some freak circumstance that led to her tragically dying. I mean, at the end of the day, there's still someone who was young and so full of life and now doesn't have a life ahead of her.
Yeah, this case, I'm very sorry to our listener. It was very confusing. But it's because there's so many different stories going around and people keep changing their stories. So it's like, You're not making this easy for anyone right now.
Right. And especially since the police haven't been super open with, the majority of the autopsy
Yeah.
or
Which
the
is
security
totally
camera footage.
understandable.
Absolutely. I mean, police always know more than we think they do,
Yeah.
especially when there hasn't been an arrest made.
Yeah.
Um, so I hope that they have all the information and that they're just waiting for a few more things to come back so that
Mm-hmm.
there can't be any questioning
Yeah.
about it, you
Like,
know?
yeah, I just hope this doesn't do like an OJ where you're 99% sure it's him, but then that unfortunate 1% happens, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. I guess with this one I'm about, I guess, probably 60-40,
Yeah.
60%. Like it was most likely the husband, but there is always the chance that it
Yeah.
wasn't. And uh, considering that we don't have all of the information from
Yeah.
the police yet, we can't really say.
Yeah. And I think in a year from now, or probably a few months from now, with how this case is going, we will be doing an update on who actually did it. But yeah, so that is unfortunate, now unsolved, hopefully to be solved in the next few months to years, murder of Alexis Sharkey. Also, I just want to say, if you have any information regarding this case, please contact the HPD Homicide Division at 713-308-3600 or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS, and that is 8477. Thank you all for listening to a Criminally Basic podcast. If you want to find more, find us at a Criminally Basic podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and now YouTube.
And check out our sources as well as photos on our website, www.acriminallybasicpodcast.podbean.com.
Woo! Bye, guys.
Bye!